Hello everyone, Reggie Tam here with the short Monday update of last week's short deck results. And we'll start with the good news. The good news was I put some exceptional volume in. I played 7,211 hands. That's a lot of hours for me. Really pleased with that. I've got in a nice routine now of playing a post midnight session for an hour and a half to 2 hours, then a morning and an afternoon session. So I'm getting a comfortable 5 hours per day in at the moment. I did that pretty much every day last week. Didn't Friday was a bit of an off day for me, but we still managed to get several hundred hands in. And yeah, it's a nice routine, and it fits nicely with the games. Like the post midnight games, the traffic's not as high, but the games are wild. And then in the mornings and early afternoons, the traffic's its highest. There's some slightly better players around, along with the absolute maniacs. But the games are always good. It's short deck hold'em. The games are always good. And 7,200 hands is quite well, it's pretty fucking good for me. On to the results. That's not good, but we already talked about this last week. We did on the Emergency Thursday video. We discussed that downswing. Things didn't get an awful lot better for a while. We just continued going lose, 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 lose. This was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, only small losses, and I did feel I played significantly better. And then my first session of the week. Well, to be honest with you, this a tiny bit of this should have been last week because this was like split into two shortish sessions. The first half of this was 10 p.m. last night, maybe 9:30 p.m. to 11:30, and then it was a post midnight session. But we'll take a look at from here how last week went day by day. Got off to a bad start, recovered, had the horrendous Thursday, and I've given that Thursday a lot of thought now because um, it was quite shaking. Yeah, that's like less than $200. So financially, like whatever, I've had bigger downswings. I've had worse days, but in terms of net buy-ins lost in a day, that is the worst day I've ever had. This has been the worst week I have ever had. I've lost before this uptick, I lost 25.66 buy-ins. 17.8 of those came on this day here. It was bad, and I genuinely thought I was doing the right thing on this day. I was correctly identifying maniacs who were willing to get it in very wide, and then I was getting it in wide versus them. So, by the people who I'd seen getting it in with 9-6 suited, with 10-8 suited, with King 9 suited, I was taking my ace 10s, my ace 9s, my king queens, my king jack suited, and just punting against them. And that's literally all it was. I'd say range versus range, I had a small advantage, but it was small. I was pushing, or I was trying to push the thinnest of thin edges. And the problem with doing that is the guy goes all in under the gun. And your king queen suited is way ahead of his range, and you're in third position. So you're like, fuck it, I'm all in too. And then some guy wakes up with aces or kings behind you with ace king. And the thin edge you thought you were pushing against the under the gun guy is completely ironed out by the guy who's just like gone all in behind you. And that was probably where a lot of the problems are coming. I was getting it all in 3 and 4 way pots and having 20 odd percent equity, and then just not running that well, but not playing that well. That's have it straight. There's no point, at the time I was like, I've never run as bad in my life, and I hadn't got it all in and lost so many times. That's how I should have expressed that. Not necessarily running bad. I hadn't got it all in as often in my life and lost as often. And I definitely didn't realise my equity that day. You don't lose this many buy-ins in this many hands and run at EV or run above EV. So, the times when I got it in with 25, 30, 35, 40%, I won almost none of them. And I've made a post to Facebook yesterday saying I'd bet my net worth that I ran like my EV line would be close to even last week. I think it might be, but I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I mean, I ran below EV significantly, but I don't know, and I don't even want to talk about luck anyway and stuff like that. One of my long-time confidants and people I like speaking to online, Dave, said, "Fucking there's Daniel Negreanu in the house," and he's fucking right. And when he typed that, I just cringed a bit. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Reg? I basically on Thursday of last week, I adopted a strategy that was bad, and I got punished about as hard for that as I could. I might have got away with it, on another day, we might have run like the fucking wind. I might have won, a few thousand chips, and I might have thought I was the fucking next short deck god. So I'm kind of glad it happened the way it did, because it's forced me into thinking a lot about what I was doing, because obviously I don't care how small the buy-ins are, you can't just sustain losses like that day after day after day after day after day. It's just not what happens. You when something like this happens, you've done something wrong. It's not just run bad. You've been doing something fundamentally wrong. And even though I can look at what happened and say, well, I had reasonable equity in all the spots I got it in, and I just never realised any of that equity. Is that my goal in this game? Oh, let's get it in with reasonable equity. Is that what I'm aiming for? Fuck what I'm aiming for? I'm aiming to be getting it in with 60% plus equity pre-flop on average, and post-flop with even more than that. You're going to get it in a lot, and your opponents are going to have equity in this game. It's just how it is. It's not like No Limit Hold'em where you can get it in top set over fucking bottom pair or middle pair or whatever, and you can have your man draw into like 2 outs. Not how it works in this game. Most of the time when you get it all in, your opponent's going to have reasonable equity against you. The trick is the sweet spot is like 65%. I mean, I lost a lot last week of like ace kings versus ace jacks, where I had the ace king, and I was like, fucking hell, Fireart's unlucky. But then when you run it through a calculator, you're only a 60-40 favourite. They're flips basically. The coin flips where you have a slight edge. I think the sweet spot is when you're getting it in with your kings versus queens, or your kings versus your king queen suited, or post flop you're getting it in with your made straight versus your 2 pairs, things like that. They're your sweet spots, and that's what I should be looking for. Shouldn't be looking. I mean, against the guys who are super wild, you just have to get like your ace king, your ace queen suited in pre. But against the guys who aren't super wild, then I'm not sure you do have to get your ace kings and your ace queens in pre against them. If you're playing against somebody who's got like a 72/30 style, then ace queen suited versus their and they've opened to 18 antis pre, then your ace queen suited, it's going to be an absolute fist pump jam versus them. But then if you have somebody who's playing 38/6 or 38/9 or something, then ace queen's far, far, far less attractive. Ace king's even far, far, far less attractive, because their range for getting it in, ace king's going to be doing okay, but that's it. You're not going to be in that 60% sweet spot. You're going to be in that 45 to 50% spot where, at best you're a coin flip. So I need to be more circumspect against who I'm willing to gamble with pre-flop, and even then make sure that my range is like way, way ahead of them, and that I'm not gambling from too early position with them. Say on say under the gun, the 70/30 guys open jammed, and I've got an ace jack suited. Well, that's a snap call against one of those guys. Ace queen's a snap call again. But if he does that and I'm 2 seats from the button, then ace jack and ace queen possibly become a fold, because there's going to be 3 people to go behind you, all of whom that can have hands that want to snap off too. So maybe ace queen is still going to be a call, depending on who's behind. But yeah, I think I need to be a lot more positionally aware when I'm gambling with the maniacs, and just not be punting too early. And I need to see that there's not too much that can go wrong behind me before I get my punt on. So that's the kind of things I've learned. Like try and get the seating arrangement so you got the maniacs to your right, the tight players to your left, like you would in all poker games, and then alter your strategy accordingly. Because I've tried the right, I'm raising all the time strategy. I've tried the right, I'm limping all the time strategy, and I mean the raising the raising quite often pre is a bad strategy in this game. But I think if it folds to you two from the button and you've got two players behind you that have got PFRs in single digits, then I think you do want to be raising a lot more there. You want to be trying to stealing what's in the middle because they're quite tight players. I mean, if they are, say, a 67/8, you want to be doing some limping still. But if there's somebody with a VPIP less than 40 and a PFR less than, say, 87 or 8, then you do want to be stealing a lot. If it's folded to you, you don't want to be limping then and just giving reasonable players chances to realise their equity. You do want to be trying to steal what's in the middle because you're going to get some fold equity pre-flop. So against players where I think there is pre-flop fold equity, I'm raising out of position. Against players where there's no pre-flop fold equity, I'm limping. And just pay more attention to the current table dynamic and react accordingly. That's something that I started doing yesterday here. Now, the afternoon session, even though I lost, it went really well. I was winning lots of decent pots. I was playing well. The strategy was going well. And to go on Daniel Negreanu again, that literally did run pretty damn bad yesterday. That doesn't matter, but I ran way below EV. Then last night, in my two sessions, it worked really well. It worked about the same as that, maybe slightly better. But then I ran well, and I did run well last night. I barely lost a flip. So that's why we had the 500 hands, 7 buy-in upswing, which, if we extrapolated this to, where's that other session? To there, if we doubled this and what have you, you can see we're on course to almost wipe that out if we were to continue that. So as bad as we ran there and as bad as we played pretty damn well here, and we ran fucking pure here. So yeah, that's the update for the week. We had a terrible week. We lost my biggest losing week of all time. It was at minus 25 buy-ins, but we just won 7 back. So, and then with the rate back that I got, my account is starting this week. Some 8,000. Let me just see. Some 8,000 chips worse than it was last week. 8,000 and change. So that's 16 buy-ins. So 16 buy-ins worse off now than we were this time last week. So I guess that's the downswing. My challenge for the rest of the month is, first of all, to get this number for the month into the green. I genuinely don't remember the last time I had a losing month playing online poker. It was, I mean, this is going to sound arrogant and big-headed, but it's just fucking true because my game selection and bum hunting has always been so pristine. I don't think I've had more than like 5 or 6 losing months in the last over 10 years. That might sound fucking bonkers. It might sound bullshit. You might be sat there now saying, this guy's just a fucking liar. But it's not. It's just true. Because when I first started playing No Limit Hold'em, like cash games and things, back in 2009, 2008, games were just soft and I was in it and I just printed money at like 20 and and stuff. Then I was a full ring nit and printed money there. Then I was on Sky Poker for years and printed money there. And I've always just been in soft micro stakes games. And yeah, that genuinely on my family's, honor, grave, whatever you want to do, a very juvenile way to try and prove yourself. Yeah, it's been less than 1 losing month a year on average for sure. Probably less than 10 in 12 or 13 years. So we don't want a losing month. If we're going to have losing months, it's going to be in a high variance game that we're just starting to learn. I mean, that's ripe for a losing month. If ever you're going to have one, that could be when it happens. When you follow my strategy of playing soft micro stakes poker games. The high variance new games is when it's going to happen. This is very recoverable though. We've got like 2 weeks to recover 12 buy-ins. I mean, this could be back in the green by midweek if we play well and we run well, or conversely, if we play mediocrely and run badly, we could be an even bigger hole by this time next week. But the goal is to continue try to perform as high a level as I performed in this and this session here, in this bit here, and hopefully by the time we do next week's update, or by midweek when we do some live play videos, this will be getting closer and closer to this break-even line, and then we can push through and maybe even book a small win for the month. So if you do want to talk to me about playing these games in the apps, please do reach out and get in touch. If you're not interested in the apps but you're bored of poker, PokerStars, GG, Party Poker, all spread this game. And I promise you, once you start to play it, you will not want to go back. And once you play this game, you will go back to playing No Limit Hold'em. It will feel slow. It will feel tedious. It will feel boring. You'll look at your opponents and think, you are all boring bastards. And yeah, it's high velocity, high variance, mucho fun. So yeah, I don't even care if you don't play on the apps. Who gives a shit? Give this fucking game a try, and then if you do give it a try, reply below the video in Facebook or reply in the comments on YouTube and let me know exactly what you think of the game. I'd be delighted to hear from more newcomers to the game. But for now, we'll leave it there. I'll probably be back with the video. I might do a live play video tomorrow morning, actually, because I think that's when I'm going to have most time this week. Because this week, my volume will be down a little bit because it's half term, and the young man I give respite care to at half term, he gets 3 times as many hours. So I've got a lot more work with him this week. So my volume might be down, my video output might be down. In fact, there's a very good chance that I might not probably make one Thursday. I'll try and make one tomorrow live and try and make a Thursday video. This should be possible. But yeah, have a great week anyway. Hope good things happen to you. Stay safe. Stay well. Look after yourselves and look after people around you. And we'll see you all very soon. Take care and bye-bye for now.